Shall we begin?
Yes, sir, please begin. Thank you.
Shall we begin?
Yeah, sure.
Namaskar and good afternoon for all the viewers. Thank you very much for joining us in this webinar on an issue which we think is of extreme importance. The subject that we have chosen for this webinar is Special Intensive Revision of the Electoral Rolls, enhancing the purity of electoral rolls or disenfranchising the electorate. We have chosen the title obviously in order to make it slightly catchy. Uh, the five issues that we have suggested to our panelists for addressing during this webinar are the following. Number one, is the Election Commission of India legally empowered to conduct this exercise, the special intensive revision? Number two, is it the only and the best way to tackle illegal immigrants? Number three, does it have the potential of mass disenfranchisement? What are its political implications? Four, impact on the underprivileged, Dalits, tribals, migrant workers, illiterate, and minority electorates who do not possess the required proof of identity. Number five, time constraints, logistics, and manpower for its implementation, especially amid the monsoon and floods in Bihar. Number six, is it a backdoor for the National Register of Citizens (NRC)? We had originally invited and got the acceptance of six speakers for the seminar or for the webinar, but for a variety of reasons, either matters of illness or of some other more pressing engagements, and one was a lawyer who was a counsel for a petitioner in the case in the Supreme Court, and she said it would not be fair for her to express her views here during this webinar. Of course, ADR is a petitioner in this suit, and I am the authorized signatory for that petition, but I am very much here in this webinar. We have three panelists. I will introduce them as we go along in some detail. We have Mr. O.P. Rawat, who has been a former Chief Election Commissioner, which came toward the end of a very illustrious career in the administrative services. We have Dr. Manoj, who is not with us right now. He is involved in some other activity, but he'll join us in about 10-15 minutes. And we have Sravasti Dasgupta, a senior reporter with The Wire, who has done extensive work on the special intensive revision in Bihar. So since we have three speakers, we have now more time than if we would have had if we were six speakers. So I would suggest to all the speakers that they are welcome to take their time. But again, there will be a constraint of time, about 15-20 minutes or so will be the maximum that we think we will have for each other or for expressing our views. And then we will hopefully have a session of question answers where the audience will raise questions and we'll request the panelists to answer those. I have fairly distinct views on the topic, but since I am the moderator, I will hold them back for the time being. I will let the panelists and the audience express themselves and have their say. And if need be, then I will, of course, I reserve the right to intervene when I want. So thank you very much. May I request Mr. Rawat to express his views first, because he is the most experienced in terms of elections. Mr. Rawat, please.
Thank you, Professor Chhokar. Our panelist, Ms. Shri Dasgupta. The agenda points, as are listed in ADR's note, I would begin accordingly. First is legally empowered ECI, whether it is or not. I think ECI has a mandate under the law to conduct a revision before every election. Now, revision can be of two types, summary and intensive. Generally, after 2003, it has been summary revision, and Election Commission has been doing summary revision before every election, and that would deliver the electoral roll uh, fittingly for the elections. But this time, Election Commission chose to have a special intensive revision. For intensive revision, the only constraint is the time. Although the revision itself will take only about 90 days, but all those names which are deleted at the final call, means final publication, they will not have adequate time for appeal and their disposal, because the Bihar elections have to be conducted and completed before 22nd November, when the term of assembly ends. And this exercise will be completed by September end. So hardly a month's time will be left before elections. That is the real cause of concern, and that is why immediately the panic started. Second aspect is this empowerment of election commission. So since it is mandated, so they are empowered. However, for investigating the citizenship, there has been a ruling of Honorable Supreme Court of 1995 when they raised a finger on this. They said that the citizenship is a subject of Home Ministry, and the Home Ministry is empowered to investigate and decide about the citizenship. Election Commission has to only take action when there is material available to Election Commission that someone has enrolled and that person is not a legal citizen of India. In that case, the procedure is prescribed that you have to issue a show cause notice along with whatever material is available in your possession. And once he explains, and if explanation is not satisfactory, you have to give him time for personal hearing and then decide whether that person is a citizen and eligible to enroll or not. And that will be final. And this process doesn't have any timeline or doesn't have any correlation with the election. This procedure can continue whenever election commission wants, and they can continuously delete the names of illegal immigrants in this process. There comes the last part of this issue, that is whether legally empowered. And since this issue is with the Honorable Supreme Court as of now, after 1995 ruling, I would only say that maybe a final word from Supreme Court will come in this petition, and therefore I would refrain to say beyond this. Second agenda point is this the best way? I don't think it is the best way, because, as I explained earlier, that if illegal immigrants are there, and if dead voters are there, migrated voters are there, permanently shifted voters are there, Election Commission has been doing these exercises to remove these names, duplicate voters. They have a lot of paraphernalia in their armor, like deduplication software, photo recognition software, and they have created ERO Net, which is a nationwide network of EROs. So any name which is duplicate anywhere in the country, any state in the country, all the duplicates will come on your screen, and you can easily identify if they are demographically similar entries, if the photos are matching. You can easily find out that these are duplicate entries, and you can ask the ERO concerned to issue a notice to that person. Where does he want to have his name enrolled, and where does he not want? You can take action and delete duplicate names from all other places except for the one which that elector wants to have. So all these things are available with the Election Commission, and you may be surprised to know that on 2023 this exercise was conducted rigorously, and so rigorously that annual increase in number of voters in the electoral roll did not take place. In fact, there was a decrease, giving some eyebrows to rise, because generally number of electors go up because population has gone up, so number of voters coming of age at 18 years should go up, but that year it decreased effectively, and therefore this exercise keeps on going under the election commission. So there was no need for this kind of exercise for removing dead voters, permanently shifted voters, or migrated voters. Those things are always done in a regular manner. For illegal immigrants, the best way could have been that Home Ministry, which is having jurisdiction on illegal immigrants, their data election commission could seek. If prima facie case is made out against certain voters, have the procedure laid down in the law, followed, and remove them. Instead of doing that, if we pull all 2.97 crores, because these are the voters who are not in 2003 voter list, into this arena, asking them to prove their citizenship by way of any one of the 11 documents, that is something which is really painful for the electorate as well as for political parties and the staff of the election commission, because for them elections are around the corner and they have to work for preparing for elections rather than get involved into electoral purification. And poor persons, weaker sections, they are always busy with their with earning the daily bread and butter. For them, elections come the last, and without daily bread and butter, they can't even survive. So they won't have enough time, especially in monsoon season when floods, excessive rain, or drought-like conditions, or something like that are happening everywhere in the state. They won't find time for looking for these 11 documents, visiting government offices to get these documents issued. These things will be very difficult for them, and that is why election commission themselves realized a little late, because their order was of 24th June, but they issued an advertisement on 6th of July asking all the voters who do not have a proof of citizenship or any document out of those 11 to submit enumeration form with their signatures or thumb impression without them, and later on they can submit this proof. That really helped the election commission to get enough forms back, and that enabled them to publish a draft roll which had a semblance of normal electoral roll. Uh, Now the issue will come when these people fail to get any one document out of those 11, and then large number get removed, uh, even beyond the 65 lakh. First this 65 lakh and then even beyond this, because other names may also be deleted if they don't submit the document. That will be really serious, and that may cause disenfranchisement of some resource poor people from weaker sections who fail to mobilize their resources to get any documentary proof of birth or other such documents out of those 11, and that will be really not fair for those electors. Uh, Next agenda point was that uh, after disenfranchisement, I think just weaker section I have covered. Timing of this, I have already explained that timing was critical, because if intensive revision is done when a year or two time is there before elections, then people can really get redressal of appeals and they can be happy and satisfied. Right now, there is no time. Elections will be round the corner. Everyone will get busy with the elections. So all those people whose names are deleted will be left high and dry and will not be able to get justice, get their names included if these are improperly deleted. So that timing is critical, and that is why the panic is caused. And last is NRC. I won't say that it is NRC because the National Register of Citizens that covers the whole population, whereas this is only 18 years and above. So I won't go to that extent because during my time at the Election Commission, we faced this problem in Assam. Uh, Elections were there and NRC proceedings were on. Foreigners tribunals were there, NRC coordinator was there. We had to coordinate each and every step with them, and even the court, because the whole exercise was being supervised by the honorable court. So doing that, I can say that this is not NRC. Maybe politically it can be called that way. So thank you very much for listening to me patiently.
Mr. Rawat, if I may ask, in the agenda point 3, there was also a sentence saying, what are its political implications? Would you like to comment on those, if at all?
Political implications I can't even fathom because who votes for whom we don't know, and we never try to know also or go deeper into that. So whosoever is left out, weaker sections, minorities, or other people, unless we have an empirical study on whom do they vote and what are their political agendas, we cannot comment as to what will be the political fallout of this.
One more and last question. You said EC is empowered to do this, which I totally agree they are empowered to do this. But the question that agitates the mind sometime is 22 years a normal time to do a special intensive revision, or should it have been done earlier? I mean, to me, 22 years is a very, very long time.
Yeah, I agree with you. In fact, it could have been done any time earlier also.
It could have been, but again, to put a more specific question, should it have been?
Election Commission never felt the need because every year we hold summary revision to
Okay,
include the
okay.
every year. It is done with reference to 1st January, and now
Yeah, yeah,
the amendment has taken place, and these qualifying dates have been 1st January, 1st April, 1st July, 1st October. So
yeah, yeah.
it's done with reference to all these 4 dates. So I think there was no need felt by the Election Commission, and it is the prerogative of the Election Commission to do intensive or summary.
No, prerogative is fully granted, sir. But only thing is that in January we did a special summary revision. The need was not felt in January, but came to be felt in June, within 6 months. So one would expect that something serious should have happened during those 6 months to cause this need to be felt. Just logically speaking, there is no evidence or no data to show anything like that. But one wonders that January there was no need, February, March, April, May there was no need, and in June there was a need. That's all. There's a just curious question.
That is why I said that the timing is critical, because this timing is not appropriate because elections are around the corner and there will not be
Okay.
plenty of time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Sravasti, can I request you to express your views, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me on this webinar. I'm feeling very honored that I've been called to speak with in the company of such great panelists. I just want to start by saying that since the first thing on the agenda is about the whether ECI is legally empowered to conduct this exercise. So, of course, if we would hear from Ms. Grover, perhaps she would have been in a better position to answer this question. But just on the basis of the research that I have done in the course of reporting this exercise and speaking to former chief election commissioners like Mr. Rawat himself just a few days back. So what I've gathered in the course of my reporting is, as Mr. Rawat was just explaining, is that there are two types of revision, as we know, which is a summary and intensive. But the special intensive revision, as it is being called in this particular exercise, is not there in the rule book. But does that mean that the Election Commission does not have the power to revise electoral rolls or update them? Obviously not. But if such a new exercise is being conducted, one would hope that from the Election Commission there would be a more detailed explanation of what this new exercise, for instance, is, and what it really entails. Just to remind our viewers that this exercise was announced by the Election Commission on June 24th, just a day before the exercise was to begin. And in that note itself, it said that BLOs are going to be trained and the exercise is going to be carried out at the same time. Now, one would wonder that how is the training and the exercise itself being conducted at the same time, simultaneously, especially one of such a huge scale, which needs to be conducted in a particular time frame before the elections are to be conducted. So that is one of the questions. But since these two forms of revision are already specified in the Register of Electors Rules, the other part that flows from this is that Form 4, which flows from Rule 8 of the Registration of Electors Rules, does not seek any proof of citizenship and only requires a self declaration by the head of the household, including names, those of parents, and proof of age. Now, Form 6, which is for the inclusion of new voters or for shifting from one constituency to the other, also does not require any proof of citizenship and is a self declaration of sorts. So, the Commission right now is accepting Form 6 through new voters, where they are not asking for a proof of citizenship, but they are asking for proof of citizenship for existing voters, which is a question that has still not been answered, that why is such a distinction being made. The other part of the point of the same issue is that Section 21 of the Representation of the People's Act 1950 empowers the Election Commission to revise the electoral rolls and conduct special revisions of the electoral roll for any constituency or part of a constituency in such a manner as it may fit. But however, under Section 22, the Act empowers the electoral registration officer to correct entries in electoral rolls as the case may be, which Mr. Rawat was also just mentioning. So, if these checks and balances are being conducted continuously, as has been the norm by the Election Commission, why was this particular special intensive revision undertaken so close to the elections is a question that the Election Commission has not yet answered. Now, I want to come to the question of transparency before I move to the point of the illegal immigrants, is that, which I will try to tie up the point of transparency by the end of what I seek to say, is that the question of illegal immigrants, yes, the Election Commission has been providing us daily press releases every day of how many forms have been collected, how many people are supposed to have been migrated, found to be deceased, or registered in multiple places throughout the exercise that this was conducted from June 25th to July 26th. There were daily press releases. Right now, we are getting daily press releases of how many forms were not, of how many claims have been received. They are saying that political parties have not filed any claims, but individual electors have filed claims and objections. And there's a separate section that says that new registrations under Form 6. This again begs the question that the new registration under Form 6 is continuing to happen without any proof of citizenship, but the existing electors are being asked to prove their citizenship. Now, to the question of illegal immigrants, none of the press releases that have been put out by the Election Commission since this exercise has started has put out any number of illegal immigrants that are supposed to have been found in this exercise. Now, on June 24th, when the Election Commission announced this exercise, among other reasons, it said that one of the reasons that this is being conducted now is that there have been cases of various foreign illegal immigrants that have been found. We were told by way of sources which were not made available to everyone. Again, this information was made available to select journalists only, saying that several illegal immigrants have been found through the course of this exercise. This was told in early July. What that number is, how many have been found, we don't know. Why the Election Commission is not coming on the record and putting it out as a statement is also not clear, when their press releases themselves do not make any count of illegal immigrants. Whether this 2.9 crore electors, as Mr. Rawat was just mentioning, they are being subjected to such a rigorous exercise just for this purpose, that is also not clear, because we don't have a number of what are these illegal immigrants. The third part is that, does it have the potential of mass disenfranchisement, and what are its political implications? I want to go into one of the stories that we did just day before yesterday by analyzing the data that we have available. Now, before going into that, I also want to mention that the data that has been made available after the end of the enumeration of forms simply says forms that have been collected and forms that are not collected due to death, migration, or shifted to other places. Who has died, who has migrated, and who has been registered in multiple places is not clear, which is something that political parties are also raising with the commission, saying that unless you provide booth level data of which of those who have been excluded have been found to be deceased or migrated, how can one cross check? Which would then tie up to the question that why the commission is saying that that none of the political parties have filed any claims. That would perhaps answer that, but before we go into that, the question of mass disenfranchisement is that the data that we found just on the basis of the forms collected and the forms not collected, which would mean that they have deceased, migrated, or have been registered in multiple places, we found that of the top 10 districts with the highest exclusion figures, four of them figure among the 10 poorest districts in Bihar in terms of the Niti Aayog report on multidimensional poverty. These are Purnia, Kishanganj, Sitamarhi, and Saharsa. Now, of these four, three, Purnia, Kishanganj, Sitamarhi, along with Madhubani, also figure among the state's 10 largest Muslim majority districts, which indicates intersectional backwardness. Now, Purnia, which has the second highest exclusion rate among all the 10 top, also figures among the state's top 10 largest Muslim majority districts, 10 multidimensionally poor districts, and is also known for its high migration, as well as figures among the state's top 5 scheduled tribe dominant districts. So then this would perhaps kind of answer the question that a lot of people have raised about the fact that this exercise will leave out those who are poor, who are marginalized, who do not have access to documents as easily as perhaps those in urban areas. The question is not whether the election commission should conduct this exercise or not. They are well within their rights to revise electoral rolls as and when they deem fit, and they do that. But the fact that this is being done so close to the elections, and we are seeing that the exclusion rates are so high in the poorest districts of Bihar, then further raises the question that it is the poor and the marginalized who are being left out. Just to give a sense of the top 10 districts that have recorded the highest exclusion, this includes Gopalganj, which has recorded an exclusion of 15.9%, Purnia at 12%, Kishanganj 11.82%, Madhubani at 10.44%, Bhagalpur 10.19%, Saharsa 9.5%, Sitamarhi 9.32%, Samastipur 9.02%, Saran 8.71%, and Shivar 8.69%. So that's a huge number of electors whose forms have not been collected. We are not clear about whether all of these people were not able to submit the forms because they were not there. We don't know. The election commission says that 3 visits were conducted. Now, it is not clear whether 3 visits were in fact conducted. Some of these pockets also see high migration because this is flood season, including Purnia, where so it is not clear whether it's the migrant population that has been affected and they were not available and therefore their forms have not been collected. So there is a high risk of disenfranchisement, as the data itself is already showing us 1 month into the exercise. Now, when the claims and objections will be filed through the course of this month, we can only hope that this number comes down and does not increase. The fourth point that is there is that the impact on underprivileged Dalits, tribals, and migrant workers is, I think some of it I have already addressed in what I said prior through the data. The time constraint, logistics, and the manpower of its implementation, especially amid monsoon and floods, is also something that we have addressed. But I also want to mention the fact that in the instructions that were issued by the Election Commission on June 24th, it was told that acknowledgement slips would be given along with enumeration forms. It is not clear how many acknowledgement slips have been given to how many voters. It is also not clear how many of the enumeration forms that have been collected with documents, the necessary 11 odd documents, which the Commission claims is not exhaustive but indicative. So is there a chance that forms have been collected but therefore documents have not been collected, and therefore you might be left off the electoral rolls at the end of August? There's a huge chance. So this focus on collection of enumeration of forms and not on how many people have been able to give their documents is also a question that the Election Commission needs to answer. Now, the other last part is the backdoor for NRC. Now, this is something which is very curious, which we were referring to earlier. The fact that this exercise has one of the reasons is that illegal immigrants are supposed to have been part of the electoral rolls. Now, it is not entirely impossible given that Bihar shares a border with Nepal, and there is movement of people. We know that women often come from Nepal, women from Bihar, they get married in Nepal, so and families move across the border. But if this is being conducted to find these illegal immigrants, is it the job of the Election Commission to do so, as previous judgments of the Supreme Court have shown that it is the Home Ministry's domain? The Election Commission, of course, is going to give voting rights only to the citizens of India. But again, the question comes about how you are deciding that only those after 2003 need to prove their citizenship, those before 2003 do not need to prove their citizenship. If you have turned 18 and therefore you are giving Form 6, therefore you also don't need to prove your citizenship. So why is there this multitude of standards that is being applied just 2 months before the elections? And finally, I want to add, even though this is not on the agenda of points, but also the fact that the transparency is a big question, that since it's such a mammoth exercise which has been in a sense being portrayed that this is being started in Bihar and this is going to be conducted in the rest of the country, the Election Commission as an independent constitutional body needs to come and answer some of these questions that are being raised. Reporters on the ground are finding that documents are being taken in a haphazard manner, in the sense that some places Aadhaar is being accepted, some places Aadhaar is not being accepted. What are the final rules? The fact that it's not accepted, the Supreme Court suggestion to take Aadhaar, Epic card, and ration cards as one of the documents was also not disclosed until the hearing once again started in the Supreme Court. So the Election Commission needs to come forward, hold press conferences, so that these questions can be answered. Just to remind everyone that in the 2024 Lok Sabha elections, there was a misnomer that the Election Commission has become Lapata gentlemen. At the end of the elections, the Election Commission came forward and said that we are not Lapata gentlemen, but by the time the election was over. And now we are talking about the rights of people to vote, and the Election Commission must come forward and give us a sense of what is happening. There are many questions that people have, and it is important for these questions to be answered. And finally, the fact that a lot of this information is coming out by way of sources that is being given to select media houses and not to others. What is stopping the Election Commission in putting out this statement on its website, where it is publishing its press release every single day? It is responding to opposition leaders saying that your claim is misleading. Sure, it can be misleading, but why is this only a one directional flow of information? In a robust democracy such as ours, we would like our constitutional bodies to be accountable. We know that a parliament discussion is being demanded, and that is being denied on the ground that Election Commission is an independent constitutional body and cannot be discussed in parliament. But the Election Commission used to previously hold many press conferences throughout the course of elections. I don't know why this has become a norm since last year, where the Election Commission does not want to come forward and take answers. One can hope that this changes through the course of the remaining part of this exercise. Thank you.
Thank you, Sravasti. That was a very grounded presentation that you made. It speaks very well of the kind of research that you have been doing. Since Dr. Jha is not here and we still have some time, so maybe I will exercise my privilege to say a few things. I will not go by the agenda items as they are listed, but I would like to present it under three heads, which a well-known former political science professor said that you have to look at such an exercise in three ways. One is the intention, the other is the method, and the third is the timing. Now, first of all, if we look at the intention, that is what I asked Mr. Rawat, that what happened between January 2025 and June 2025 that caused the Election Commission to come to a determination that a special intensive revision must be done. This is not to, I will not go into the fine print of special intensive revision or intensive revision, because as Sravasti said, the legal documentation related to all this does not mention the phrase special intensive. It mentions summary and intensive. But anyway, we let that pass. But to me, the question of this having come to Election Commission mind after 22 years is very serious. And that is what creates a certain doubt about the intention. Then the question is of taking 2003, January 2003 as the cutoff date. Now, legally speaking, every voter who got into the voter list from 2nd of January 2003 to 23rd of June 2025 has effectively been taken off the rolls. Now, it has not been called this by the Election Commission, but this is what has happened. And the June 24th notification actually says that for those who were on the electoral roll on 1/1/2003, there is a presumption of citizenship. Now, when you say that there is a presumption of citizenship for one category, it automatically implies that the presumption of citizenship for the second category is not there. That is where we have tried to say in the court that this is an unreasonable classification. Because under the law and Supreme Court judgments, anybody who is on the electoral roll at that point in time is presumed to be a citizen. So Election Commission today on 24 June has said that everybody who got onto the electoral roll between 2nd of January 2003 to 23rd of June 2025 is suspect. It is casting, I'm sorry, it is a strong word, it is casting aspersions on all the actions of the Election Commission over 22 years. And that, as Mr. Rawat said, is 2.97 crore. So has the Election Commission over 22 years admitted 2,297 crores ineligible people. This is a huge thing. It is legally not sound. Secondly, it is an aspersion on all their predecessors. This is just unimaginable as far as I'm concerned, because during this period, 2003 to 2025, I have personally interacted with several election commissioners, Mr. Rawat included, and we have been full of admiration for all those people. And today we have the election commission currently saying all these people were. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't want to say anything more than this. Number one. Number two, intention. As I was asking Mr. Rawat, that January there was a special summary revision, and now they want to do a special intensive revision. Now, not being aware of something that may have happened, which has resulted in the election commission taking such a drastic decision, I feel there is something wrong with that intention. So, second is the question of method. Now, we have all seen hundreds of videos about the method. And Sravasti was just saying very carefully that acknowledgement slips do not seem to have been given. They have not been given. This is a fact. Nobody has been given an acknowledgement slip. And the documents have not been collected. Mr. Rawat also mentioned an advertisement by the Election Commission. Sir, the advertisement was given on the 5th of July by the Bihar Chief Electoral Officer. A full page ad in all newspapers in the front page saying you do not need to submit any documents. But there were 4 lines at the bottom of that advertisement. The last said, if no documents are submitted, decision will be taken on the available information. This came on the 5th, and it created a fairly large buzz in Bihar that nobody has to give any documents. But on the 6th, the next day, the Election Commission issued a press note in which para 3 said that there has been no change in the procedure regarding the documents. Anybody who cannot submit the documents now with the enumeration form can submit it before 25th of July 2005. Then the next sentence said, for those who are, for if there is any deficiency in the documents, they will be collected by the ERO/AERO during verification till the end of September. Now, I do not know, end of August, sorry. So I still do not know whether the last date for submission of documents was July 25 or August 31. Now, this kind of ambiguity in the procedure of such a vital thing, which has people worried, I think creates confusion about the method. And of course, several other things about the method that we have seen in videos I don't want to repeat. Now I come to timing. Now, timing is of 2 types here. One is timing as to when it is being done. 3 months before the state assembly election is due, 5 months after the summary electoral revision. Now, that timing it sort of defies logic as to why should it be done at this juncture. The second element of time is the time given for completion, 3 months. Now, the Assam NRC that Mr. Rawat referred to when he was CEC, the exercise went on for several years. And even after that, when 19 lakhs people from a particular religion was found to be ineligible, the exercise actually has not been completed till today, as far as I know. It is still withheld. So, to complete an exercise where citizenship of 3 crore people is to be challenged cannot be completed in 3 months. And the 11 documents that are specified, Election Commission itself says that the date and place of birth of the applicant, the date and place of birth of the one parent in one case and date and place of birth of two parents in another case should be provided. And they have specified the high school certificate as one of the documents. I have been in the field of education for a very long time, and I have seen, I know, not thousands, millions of school leaving certificates. No school leaving certificate provides the place of birth. It only provides date of birth. So to specify a document which does not serve the purpose is also deliberate. To me, it appears to be either lack of attention or deliberate, whatever I may call it. So documents specified are not fulfilling the purpose for which they are to be given. So method, timing, intention, all three, if not suspect, they are questionable at least. And therefore, I believe that to come back to this, that yes, legally empowered, absolutely. But it is to be done under the procedure specified in law, under the rules made under the act. It is not to be conducted in a random fashion. Number two, the declaration that a person has to make to get registered as a voter in Form 6 in all states except Bihar in the country, even today, one can get registered as a voter by giving a verification saying, I certify that I am a citizen of India and I was born at so and so place and so and so date, and giving a date of birth certificate. In Bihar, under the SIR, this declaration has been changed, made much more elaborate to be parallel to the provisions in the Citizenship Act 1955. Now, Election Commission seems to be implementing the Citizenship Act because of this declaration and the wording of this declaration. That is why the question whether it is a backdoor for National Register of Citizens. As Mr. Rawat also mentioned, there is a Supreme Court judgment of Lal Babu Hussain, 1995, where it is very clearly said that those who are on the electoral roll, they are to be presumed to be citizens. Because that is an act done by the Election Commission itself. And as Mr. Rawat said, this is not the best way to tackle illegal migrants. Home Ministry should be consulted and their data should be consulted. Does it have the potential of mass disenfranchisement? In my opinion, yes. Because my contention is that whatever is the number of migrants from Bihar who go to other states to earn their livelihood, whether it is 20% or 40%, I don't know. But it is a significant number. Those people do not have the capacity or the wherewithal to check their names on the voter. First of all, they didn't have the capacity to check their names, to download the enumeration forms, fill them up or get them filled and upload them. Imagine a farmer, imagine a migrant worker where the whole family has migrated to Punjab or Haryana to work on agricultural fields. Where will they go to download and upload? And even a construction worker who's an unskilled labor in a multi-storied building in Bombay, does the Election Commission think a migrant worker who's a construction worker, unskilled labor, he, after his job is done for the day, he will go to a cyber cafe, pay money, get the thing unloaded, then attach documents, fill up the form and get it uploaded? I think this is all figment of a very, very, very fertile imagination. This is all not possible. Therefore, that and those migrants will not see even the draft electoral roll. Somebody had done a study in Delhi and this lady contacted 25 migrant laborers from Bihar. Only 2 had heard of this exercise. Other 23 had not even heard of it. So these migrants will not look at the draft electoral roll because they don't know about it. and they cannot do it. They will not even, and they will raise no complaints, no objections. They will not see the final electoral roll. They will show up at their village at the polling booth on the day of the election. Whether given returned railway tickets by political parties or given or sent by chartered buses by political parties, they will show up, and when half of the village finds that their names are not there in the electoral roll, I think the situation will become very complicated. And that is the disenfranchisement that I am worried about. Impact on underprivileged Dalits, migrant workers, obviously. People who are not educated, we have seen videos in social media how BLOs have gone to a village and dumped 250 blank forms and saying, isko baant dena. And then nothing has happened. And in apparently Patna city, the municipal employees were also distributing a form. We did not even have the barcode or the photograph of the elector. Time constraint, logistics, we've talked about that. So I think on the whole, I admit that revision and correction of the electoral roll is an extremely important thing. It must be done. But there has to be an appropriate method of doing so. And as Mr. Rawat said, it is done every year 4 times. And if that exercise 4 times a year is not done appropriately, and we want to provide a quick fix after 22 years, we have a problem. We cannot let a disease fester for 22 years and then say that we will amputate a body part to get rid of this disease. I am sorry, this is the kind of thing that seems to be happening during the during the SIR. And it should have been done, it must be done, but it should be done in an organized manner all through the year and all through the country. Justice Bagchi, in the first hearing on the 10th of July in the Supreme Court, said, why don't you what was the word he said? De-link the SIR and the Bihar State Assembly election. He said to the Election Commission, please conduct the Bihar State Assembly election based on the 2025 summary electoral roll in January and continue doing the SIR at the pace at which it deserves to be done. And let it go on till after the election. No harm will be done, but apparently that was not accepted by the Election Commission. And I really believe even today that is the best solution. SIR in Bihar should be done. It should be done properly, not in a hurry, not where every day we are seeing on YouTube. I suppose that is right that several people who are already dead are still on the draft electoral roll. As a matter of fact, the headline in one of these videos was Election Commission जिंदा लोगों को मरा हुआ दिखा रहा है और मरे हुए लोगों को जिंदा दिखा रहा है. So that is where I think things are wrong, and I will stop here because Professor Manoj Jha has arrived. Welcome, Professor Jha. I really appreciate that with your father being in the hospital, you have still found time to join us. We really appreciate what you are doing. So please, it is now your turn. I was only filling in for you. Thank you.
No, sir, let me say, whatever little time I'm here, I'll prefer listening to all of you. Whatever time I have, I would love to listen to Rawat sir, rather than, because what I had to say, I have been writing, I have been speaking my mind. But when I listen to people like Rawat Sahab or Jagdeep Sahab, who have been fighting for electoral reforms, but not in a manner where opacity becomes the hallmark, and for that matter, all the faces I can see on the screen. Whatever time I have, I'll listen to all of you. And thanks, Jagdeep ji, for doing a great favor yesterday by asking those questions. We have also listed those questions in our petition. So I'll prefer listening. If I have to make any point, I'll raise my hand and speak to the organizer.
No, Professor Jha, Mr. Rawat, and I have both spoken for 20 minutes each. If we repeat that, the audience will get very bored. So you have to, whatever you feel like saying, please share that with us, and then we'll get into the question answer mode.
Sir, I think I regret because I couldn't manage to be here. I would have loved to listen to Rawat Sahab, also because of the fact that he gets an insider's perspective. I'll tell you, for just to contextualizing things. After my meeting, I don't know, Chhokar Sahab, whether I have told you or not. After my meeting, in my life for the first time, after meeting election commissioners a month back, I came and told the press that I can't call this meeting a cordial meeting. And I had to say this for the first time in my life after any meeting. Even if the meetings were not as per my expectation in the past, it never reached a level where we realized that the mind is prefixed. Things have been decided much before we approach the commission, and that's why you see the kind of chaos which is all over. And today, while coming from the clinic, I was just going through Rahul Gandhiji's press conference. I mean, then the response comes that you say this on affidavit. Most of the members of parliament and so the members of the commission take oath on the constitution. That oath is much more valuable than a stamp paper written on it affidavit. Like all of you, I'm eagerly awaiting how the Supreme Court, Honorable Supreme Court, looks at it, how the Supreme Court looks at the fact that in Bihar, it has actually created a mass upheaval. And as Chhokar Sahab rightly, through his petition, he asked, we also got a list. I mean, in the list, there is no specification which category. There is a category merger. We don't have clarity. No booth level indication. No EPIC number. I mean, I told some of the journalists who were outside parliament, I said, naming one of her, that if I have to find your name in an assembly constituency where 40,000 people have been deleted, and your name is such a popular name, how do I get to know that whether your name exists or not? If I don't have a number, if I have no clarity that on what ground your name is not there. So there are many more questions. And what worries me, although I am not a legal expert, on 2 occasions, Honorable Supreme Court directed the commission that please, in order to make sure that you have maximum penetration of this exercise, you consider Aadhaar card. For that matter, EPIC and ration card. So far, no valid explanation has come. Valid explanation from the commission. That's why I feel that any institution in a democracy where opacity becomes their hallmark, and I think I have seen the functioning of previous commissioners also, I never saw this kind of language being used. Many things I cannot make public here, even now, because it's between us and the commission. But the fact is that it's one of the most critical juncture in our democracy. If we don't get assurance of a clean role, electoral role, a role which believes in ensuring that maximization of inclusion takes place rather than an intensive deletion. And in that context, on a lighter note, I had written a letter, an imaginary letter from the first Chief Election Commissioner, Sukumar Sen, to the present Chief Election Commissioner, Mr. Gyanesh Ji. I don't know whether that letter through a newspaper reached him or not, but still my intent was very clear. My intentions were clear. I don't want my commission to be seen through the prism of Election Commission of Bangladesh. That's all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jha. Can we now move to the question and answer session? Do we
Yes,
have
sir.
any questions that
Yes, sir, we
people in
absolutely
the...
I'll just be displaying the relevant questions, sir. Just a few minutes.
This is Pankti Jog, who is a good friend of ours. Is ECI legally empowered to involve BLAs in a special intensive revision when in normal revision of voter list only election administration is involved? Mr. Rawat, would you kindly like to respond to this? You are muted, sir.
Sorry, Election Commission at every stage of every activity and event, they always try to involve all parties, all candidates concerned, all stakeholders, so that everything is transparent in public domain. And that is why involving BLAs is good. Only thing is that it should not be said that BLAs are responsible to get these electors, get the documents, because we cannot order BLAs to do something. It is basically to make our exercise transparent that BLAs are involved.
Sir, if I may add, in this case, the Election Commission has written in several of their press notes that the BLAs were authorized to collect the forms and documents from voters up to 50 voters per day per BLO. And there were 1.5 lakh BLOs, I am told, and 1.5 lakh into 50 is a huge number. And sir, if I may say so, I have maintained, and several other people have maintained in the past, that political parties get their voters inflated by getting fake voters registered. This has been a complaint against political parties, whether real or imaginary. Now the Election Commission is entrusting this job to political party representatives, which to my mind is abdication of a job, outsourcing to people who have a vested interest. And similarly, there were supposedly 1 lakh BLOs. Actually, there were only 77,000 BLOs plus 1.5 lakh BLAs and 4 lakh volunteers. I was also very apprehensive. Who are these volunteers? How do we ensure that they are neutral, they are non-partisan? They will obviously be people believing in some ideology or the other. And these 4 lakh volunteers and 1.5 lakh BLAs being authorized to do the job of the Election Commission, I think, sir, has been highly irregular. Election Commission has...
I
Can I
agree with
join?
you, Professor Chhokar. In fact,
Yes,
Election
please.
Commission in the past had issued instructions that not more than 5 forms will be taken from one person, only if those 5 forms belong to his or her family. Otherwise, every individual will have to give only one form. That was the instruction of the Election Commission. So this change, I think, is not healthy.
Thank you, sir.
Eight seconds. Just I wanted to make a small
Ji.
point. When we met Election Commission in Patna, Chief Electoral Officer, me, my leader of opposition, Tejaswi ji, and the entire political party he represents, all parties. We had specifically requested them to put on a dashboard, who are these volunteers? How have they been recruited? What has been the modus operandi? We haven't heard so far anything. And as you rightly said, we don't know how, from where they have appeared and where they shall disappear once that exercise is over.
That is why I think Pankti's question was very valid, that BLAs being authorized to collect 50 forms every day is highly irregular, and I think that itself should be enough to make this exercise untenable. Legally, I think. But anyway, we shall wait to see what the Supreme Court does. Can we have the next question, please? Bihar government did not release district-wise population enumeration data for the state after the caste census of 2023. Whatever analysis we have in the media is with the population projections or next with 2011 data. But the government of Bihar has that data. Is that data available anyway? Soumya, India spend. I am sorry, Soumya. I have no idea about the question that you are asking. And the webinar is about the special intensive revision, not about the census data. So I don't think we will entertain that question. Apologies. What are the political parties doing with the list ECI has given to them? Is the list constituency / district wise? Major General Verma. Manoj, this is your question. You are the only politician here. You are muted.
I said not technically for all the right reasons. I don't actually fit in the category of full politician. But still, I think Major Verma's question has a valid angle. That's what we have been talking. That we have been given a list of 40,000 per assembly constituency. You can club it in at district level also. But we are not told which category what quantum belongs to. We don't have booth indication. We don't have EPIC number. So it's simply almost impossible for anybody for any political party to do this exercise in this amount of time. Number one. Number two, interestingly, all of you must be feeling that every day Election Commission is saying that so far we have not received any complaint. Gentlemen, how will you receive the complaint? If the complainant doesn't know where these categories have disappeared, where the numbers are there, where is the booth? I think that's why I have been emphasizing opacity has become the hallmark. Let it be transparent. We should be told under this category, this much. Under duplication, this much. Then only we'll be able to do justice to the exercise of so far and about cleaning.
I wish to add something here. Number one, Election Commission keeps saying that we have given the list to political parties. With due apologies, Professor Jha, you are, I agree, you are not a full politician, you are also an academic. I have also been an academic, but we are slightly different in some ways, which we all understand. So giving information to political parties only and not giving it to citizens is not correct at all. The word political party did not figure in the Indian Constitution's main text. It came in an annexure when the anti-defection law came in. So political parties are actually, there is a question whether they are legal entities or not. And Election Commission and I as a citizen, we have a direct relationship. For the last 15 years, I have not voted for any political party. I have voted Nota, and I keep insisting on making this public. I do not recognize political parties as a citizen. And Election Commission seems to indicate all the time that citizens don't exist, political parties exist. And then this SIR, it has tried to implicate political parties very smartly and indirectly by putting BLAs as equal to their BLOs. This is not an innocent act as far as I know, and giving information only to political parties does not fulfill Elections Commission's accountability to citizens of India through the Constitution of India. Rawat Saab, would you want to add something? You are muted.
It is very right to say that the draft electoral roll must be shared in such a manner that every elector can see it. And in case that is not possible because a large number of people are not tech savvy or on the internet, it's better to publish it on every polling booth. That this polling booth had this electoral roll earlier, now this is the draft roll, and final roll will also be published here. That everybody can see, and if everybody cannot come to the polling booth, other people can come and see for their neighbors, and they can inform them, and that would make it easier to sort of put up claims, objections, and other things.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Professor Jha has had to leave, but we will continue with the questions and answers. Next question, please. A large number of people from Bihar migrate to southern states for their livelihood. If their voting rights are removed now without their knowledge, won't that be a violation, Mr. Ram Kumar? Mr. Rawat or Sravasti, would you like to respond to this?
Sure. So I think it's something that the Election Commission has been saying constantly, that no elector will be left out in every press release. They have been emphasizing this. But how are they establishing that those who have migrated are not going to come back to vote? And it's, as I was saying earlier, that the transparency is such a huge factor in this, and we know that in Bihar, just by the union government's data on the eShram portal, according to what the government has told Parliament, is that about 3 crore about Bihar's population are migrant workers. So how is that the present data are being reconciled with that? If their voting rights are removed without their knowledge, it would definitely be a violation to my understanding, because it is taking away somebody's right to vote, which is a constitutional right. And without being informed, as Mr. Rawat was also saying earlier, that if somebody's name is being removed, then that is a full procedure. Show cause notice has to be given, the person has to be informed, then the person will file their response. If the commission is still not satisfied, then the commission will call that person for a physical appearance. Sir, please correct me if I'm wrong. And only then will that person's name be deleted. So this is a huge process which is likely to take more than 3 weeks. So the fact that so many people's names are being removed, are such notices being issued, are such intimations being given, we don't know. So transparency again is a big factor over here, but definitely if their voting rights are taken, it is a violation to my understanding.
Thank you very much. Next question, please. Why has this process started now, just before the assembly elections? The general election was held in May 2024. Why wasn't this done after that? What is the urgency, Mr. Ram Kumar again? I think we have already commented on it during our discussion, so I think this is a repeat. I would request Mr. Ram Kumar to go through the video once it is finalized. Thank you. Mr. Rohit Tripathi, could the panelists please articulate the consequences if the ECI ends up conducting the Bihar elections the way it intends to? Rawat Saab, you are muted.
I believe. I don't think ECI will ever fail in conducting an election. SIR is a different thing, and timing being the most critical here, it has generated so much of heat and so many issues. But when it comes to elections, the election machinery of the ECI is so well versed and highly experienced that they generally deliver elections from day one. That is 1951-52 election. They deliver election free, fair, and credible, and I am confident that this time also they will be able to do that.
Sravasti, would you like to add something?
So I think that the consequences will only be visible afterwards. It's too early to comment, and I don't think it is correct for us to comment on how this will be conducted at this point. Just as I would also refrain from commenting on whether this exercise is going to benefit a particular party against the other. I would rather say that at this point, it is the citizens' right which is at stake, which is the right to vote, and they have the right to vote. They vote who they want to vote, and before giving an opportunity to be removed from the electoral roll without their knowledge is not how elections are to be conducted in this in this country. And if just to make a reference to how Professor Jha was also saying earlier, is that today leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi has conducted a press conference in which he has shown electoral rolls in which same name is there multiple times. One person has voted in Karnataka, Maharashtra, two times each. So there is no doubt that electoral rolls need purification. But what is the sanctity of the existing rolls, and how can voting rights just be taken away? These are questions that need to be answered, and we will unfortunately understand the scale of it only once this exercise is over.
I would say to Mr. Tripathi that the question is consequences if the ECI ends up conducting the Bihar election the way it intends to. Now, we are not sure what exactly is meant, but if the Bihar elections are conducted according to the electoral roll finalized after the special intensive revision, then I think the consequences might be difficult. I agree with Mr. Rawat that the Election Commission is well geared to conduct elections. But in this case, the conduct of elections based on available information is linked to the special intensive revision. Special intensive revision has the potential of difficult and unpredictable consequences. And if the election is linked to the special intensively revised electoral roll, the consequences could be risky. But if the assembly election is conducted by delinking it from the SIR, as Justice Baki suggested on the 10th of May, then things may be different. So the consequences will depend on whether the election is linked to SIR or not linked to SIR. If it is linked to SIR, then there is a risk of the consequences being difficult and difficult to manage. One doesn't know what will happen. It will not. I mean, I feel not very easy saying so. If the election is held with the specially intensively revised electoral roll, consequences may be difficult to deal with. They could be very difficult because a large number of people are expected to find their names don't exist on the day of voting. You know, people not finding their name in the electoral roll is not an unusual thing, but it happens to 1, 2, 10, 15 people at every booth. They have all kinds of problems. Somebody had voted in a municipal election and don't find their name in the state assembly election because the electoral rolls are different and so on. So those 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 people get very upset and frustrated, and they abuse everybody around, and they go home in anger, swallowing their anger because then nothing can be done that day. But if out of, let's say, 500 registered voters in a village, 200 find that their names are not there, then I shudder to think what the consequences might be. So it will depend on how the elections are conducted with SIR or without SIR. I hope, Mr. Tripathi, your question has been answered. Thank you. Next question. Any reason, this is Pankti Jog again, any reason given by ECI for not considering ration card or Aadhaar card as one of the documents in SIR? Yes, Pankti Ben, this is given in the Election Commission's affidavit, which they filed in response to the petitions. They have said that there are many fake ration cards, therefore we can't. They have written it in their affidavit that there are many fake ration cards and we can't trust the ration card. And what I'm going to say next is not in their affidavit, it is my comment. They can trust the fake ration cards to give food grain to 80 crore people, but they cannot trust the ration card for allowing people to vote. For the Aadhaar card, they have said that the Aadhaar Act itself says that this is a proof of identity and not a proof of citizenship. This is also what they have written in their affidavit. Next question, please.
We are done with all the questions. Thank you.
No more questions?
No more questions, sir.
So, Mr. Rawat, any concluding comments, sir?
Yeah, I will. I'll just like to say that if SIR is concluded with all the stakeholders, especially the electors, view their points and their claims, objections, and complaints, adjudicated appropriately, objectively to their satisfaction, then whatever Professor Chhokar has suggested, the election should be held with an electoral roll, which is prior to SIR. I think that would help conducting elections appropriately in Bihar. Otherwise, it may result in serious law and order problem at the polling booths. I totally agree with you, and I think Election Commission will take a call on this.
Thank you, sir. Sravasti, any concluding comments?
I think finally, I would just like to say that this is a plea for more transparency, because Mr. Chhokar, of course, has filed a petition in the Supreme Court at the absolute correct time, due to which we have found out many things that we would have perhaps not found out otherwise. But there is a need for citizens to become aware, and I just hope that the Election Commission becomes more transparent and forthcoming with information and what it is doing in this size. It is the people's rights that are at stake. One final comment I want to say though, that the fact that the 2003 order is not anywhere in sight is also another curious question that would allow many people to perhaps compare such a special intensive revision that has been conducted in the past. But the fact that it is not there again raises questions. So just some thoughts to think about as we leave.
In response to your final question, let me inform you that in their affidavit, Election Commission has referred to the 2003 intensive revision, and in our rejoinder, we have requested the court to ask the Election Commission to produce all the documents related to the 2003 intensive revision in the court. So let us see what happens to that. And just a minor correction, I have not filed the petition. ADR has filed the petition. I am only the authorized signatory authorized by ADR to sign on their behalf. So thank you very much, Mr. Rawat and Sravasti, and I am also very grateful to Professor Jha for having taken time away when he has a serious medical condition in the house. And thank you very much for the audience. I believe there are about 61 to 62 viewers. We hope you found this discussion useful, and please keep us informed of whatever you think about it. Thank you very much. All the best.